Hey y'all, welcome to Art of the Budget. My name's Nicole. My pronouns are she and her, and I live in the Pacific Northwest on the traditional territory of the Coast Salish Nations. Today we're doing a budget check-in for whichever week of May we're in. I think it's week 3. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. Before we get started, I just wanted to say I'm an artist and educator currently learning about budgeting, saving, and planning for retirement. And I just want to thank all of those folks, which may be you, working on the front lines during this wild pandemic time. I am listening to a really interesting book called The Pandemic Century by Mark Honigsbaum. I'll write it down in the thing below. And it's a little stressful, but it's strangely comforting to know that people have been through stuff like this before. And I just want to remind you that for folks who work in grocery stores, there are, young kids, there are just people most likely making minimum wage, hopefully making a little more because they've got some hazard pay coming in, that have been thrust onto the front lines of a pretty serious thing. Of course, all of these medical professionals have too, but I think their job and in the way that many, not all, are paid for their services, it does include a certain amount of risk anytime you're working in a medical setting. But for folks that have working in grocery stores or working at fast food restaurants, this is, asking a lot of them. And so I know everyone's not doing everything perfectly. Certainly I'm not, certainly many of us aren't. But I just want to shout out and say, if you have the luxury to work at home like I am, or to otherwise wait this out without having to go and get a minimum wage job, just be really gentle and kind with the folks that are working. And in fact, if it's not something that you absolutely need, like groceries, maybe just sit it out. So thanks to all of you working on the front lines. That is friggin' hard work, and really you're not compensated. None of you are compensated the way you should be, but especially not folks working in settings like grocery stores or, your local Subway, the food, but also probably the actual Subway. So anyway, I'm going to get into my budget check-in. Okay, so I got gas. Although I'm driving very little, I actually drove kind of more than I expected because of all of the appointments I had to take my cat to. Junior is doing fine. I would even say maybe doing better. We do have a follow-up this week, but he's doing fine so far. He doesn't totally know something bad is happening inside of his body, and so he's been being just funny and pesky, but I just noticed maybe his posture has improved. I feel like maybe that heart was pressing on. I don't know. He seems to be doing better. Okay, so I did get gas. Of course, it was not very much. I just feel like if several weeks go by, it's probably not a bad idea to have gas in the car. So that was $19.01. It's a very chatty budget check-in. My Hulu also came out. That was $6.55. I went to Walmart. That's not a store that I super frequent, although if that's what you've got accessible to you, of course, go. And of course, it is very affordable. But because of working from home, I've been having a lot of back, shoulder, and neck pain. And I have been wanting to get for years one of those long foam, I guess it's kind of like a foam roller, but I did in the past physical therapy where I put it down across my spine and opened up my shoulders that way. So I went ahead and went to Walmart to get it, and I figured I'd get some groceries while I was there and a couple of other things. So let me go ahead and open this. I wrote some notes to myself. So the foam roller was $20. And then I also bought some birdseed. I found a bird feeder in my basement, and so I bought some birdseed. Household. I bought some birdseed to fill it up, just a small bag, just to try it out. So that was was a little under 10, but well, it was 10, and then the rest was groceries. I did pick up like the fresh food that I needed, like lettuce, tomatoes, avocados, lemons. But then I also, while I was there, and they have it set up so you have to like go through and walk in a certain direction, I went ahead and picked up some things for like baking experiments. I just, this is how I get my entertainment these days. So the rest is going to be groceries. And yeah, I'm going to be going over on groceries, it looks like. Yeah, I definitely have not been doing very good on the grocery budget. I'm cooking a lot of really good food, but I've also been buying like sort of, first of all, like buying some more maybe expensive ingredients to cook special things, but also like because you can only go once, like go to one store, or like it's best to just go to one store. It's like you can't really shop around. So there's that. And then also, yeah, I think just buying more, like not really stocking up hardcore, but just feeling like, oh, well, there's a good price on this, might as well pick it up, since like who knows how long this situation's going to continue. So not hoarding by any means, but just sort of having more of that pantry stock. And sort of just being like, oh yeah, this is like shelf stable, or oh, this goes in the freezer. So while we're in this topic, I'll go ahead and throw this was from like a week ago. I went to Fred Meyer. I think I also wrote a note for myself. And oh yeah, I got kitties. Got kitty litter. Oops. And I got some stuff for the garden, which I think is going to go in fun. Fun. Where are you? There we go. And so that was 20 into garden, 20 to cats, and then the remaining was just groceries. $93.77. I think that my CSA starts next week, so I'm hoping that's the case. And I definitely can rein in the grocery thing. I don't know. Tell me down below if you are like sort of just being a little more extravagant with your groceries. I feel like a lot of people are spending less, but I feel like I have so much more time, and like even though I'm working full time still, I'm only working my full-time job. I have so much more time in quarantine. I want to like cook elaborate things. I want to garden. I want to do all these things, and that requires money. So, I'm not trying not to be too hard on myself, but I do like to keep the budget. Okay, so yeah, I'm over $90. Okay. I had to, okay, I'm just gonna do other things that go in this area. So I picked up for my cat some medicine. I really can't keep track of even which one it is, but that was at the beginning of the month. No, it wasn't. I think it was Prozac for Violet. All right, the whole cat thing is just a lot. And I also had to pick up, oh yeah, I did pick up these little like finger protectors because you rub the medicine onto their ear, and that was $4.59. That goes into Kittles. Something else that I did actually in the grocery department. So even though actually I'm being like really extravagant with groceries, I'm actually setting the foundation for having locally sourced groceries. So as you all know, I paid the last couple months, I paid for my CSA, which is groceries that come throughout the growing season, produce that comes throughout the growing season. And then I also, with a friend, with a coworker, we put a deposit on a half of a pig. So a local farm, it has livestock, and they harvest it and send it to the butcher, and then you pay for the meat and for the butcher. And we put our deposit down. So for me, that was $50. I love the idea of having all locally sourced groceries, or mostly locally sourced groceries. And something else I feel like quarantine has allowed me to do is to like think about where that comes from. I mean, I knew I was living in an area surrounded by farms, but I just couldn't quite like put my finger on where they were, how to get like into that, into their mailing list, into doing the deposit. And I've been able to do that. I also had $6 of groceries. My housemate had gone out and she picked me up some eggs. Okay, so I'm gonna roll up to, oh, let's see, cats. I got my food, my usual Chewy order, 71.64. Got a lot of red in this area. We'll see what happens. And I'm gonna scroll down to technology. So I dropped my computer on the chart, like on the little part where the charger plugs in, and messed it up. I've ordered a new charger from Dell. It's been like almost a month and it hasn't come, but I'm gonna just put the charge in. Maybe I'll never get it. Thankfully, my charger has been working okay, but it's definitely kind of messed up now. Okay, and last but not least, let's leave this on a good note. I set aside $500 of my stimulus for sharing, and the other day I PayPal'd my awesome sister who works at a grocery store, and like I mentioned at the beginning, has been thrust into risking her lives to provide service for everyone, including those of us who are lucky enough to weather this out at home. And so I Venmo'd her $100 to do whatever the heck she wants with. All right, that's all for me this week. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know if you got your stimulus, if you did, what you're doing with it, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much. Oh, and if you could like, subscribe, comment, blah, 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 I would love it. Thank you.